It's been about a year since my previous video about getting adult braces, so I thought, you know what, it's time for an update. For all my new friends out there who don't know, my braces history is just far too long. It's just been way too long. Way longer than it should have been. I've had them done in Russia, in the UK, in Beijing, China, in Hong Kong, and now we have a new addition to the list, the US. Over a decade and 5 countries later. Wait, no. We don't want to get political with this. Let's say over a decade and 5 orthodontic systems later, here I am. If you want the full rundown on why I decided to go and get adult braces, then here's the video that explains pretty much the entire backstory to that, which I shot when I was still in Hong Kong about a year ago. Since I transferred my case over to the US, it's been about 5 or 6 months. So let me take you through what's happened in the chronicles of Kat's braces. This includes the search and also the differences that I've noticed between the orthodontic treatment in Hong Kong versus the orthodontic treatment here in the US, the cost, what happened with insurance, and I also tacked on some thoughts about ceramic and metallic braces, since I've now had experience with both. The search. The first part that really was a pain in the behind, was the search for an orthodontist here in New York that I could trust. Looking for the one was hard. I wanted someone who was, of course, trustworthy, someone with experience, someone with good reviews, someone who was in network for my insurance, but also not too far away, and by that I mean walkable distance, because I was not about to spend half a day getting there and back on the subway every time I had an appointment. Eventually, after a lot of Google stalking and resume sifting, I had it boiled down to 2 docs. One of them opened a pretty famous chain across all of New York, but when I googled his name, it came up with a malpractice suit for which he had to compensate over $1 million, I think. The other one had about 30 years of experience, opened his own private practice, and has great reviews. The choice seems pretty obvious, except the malpractice one was a lot closer to where I live, literally about 5 minutes away. Alas. Priorities. Let me rewind time and take you with me on my first trip to the orthodontist in the US.
Hello friends, I am going to the orthodontist. Surprise, surprise. I managed to break many braces, or brackets. I mean, to be fair, it's because I've had them on for so long during the whole move. It took me a hot sec to find an orthodontist. I had to do a lot of comparing and also weigh up, you know, the distance that I live from the orthodontist. And so I'll be making that trip quite often. One sec, let me cross the road first. I've been trying to find a quiet place or a quiet street. Not happening. The decision that I was given by the orthodontist was essentially I could take all my braces off for a price, or I could get it fine-tuned, but the difference of what it looks like wouldn't be huge. It would just be sort of, you know, the final tweaks of tightening up the gaps, readjusting the turf. It was quite difficult to make that choice because, I mean, my teeth do function at the moment, but I always want it to be the best they can be, right? And of course, cost does come into play. I got dental insurance because it said it covered 50% of adult braces. They can take up to 30 days to respond to any proposal by the orthodontist. Yeah, I should probably explain the details of this sitting somewhere quieter. It's much more complicated than I realized, and a little bit annoying, and there are quite a few things that I wish I knew before I did this switch yet again. When you're living in New York City for quite a while, you forget how noisy it is. But when I go back and I listen to the recordings, I realize, wow, the noise pollution in the city is actually really bad. Anyway, so with my braces, I managed to make, or rather loosen, 2 of the brackets. They got unstuck from my teeth, which is never good because it means that your teeth can move. And then I took 1 bite of something, it must have been chicken I think, and all 3 consecutive brackets at the bottom became loose. It became so uncomfortable that I actually went in and took them out myself because I didn't know how long I was going to be waiting before I'd be able to see an orthodontist who could fix it. Gluing each individual bracket without a plan, without a coverage, without a treatment thing is a few hundred, I think, or 150 or 250. I wanted to wait until I knew exactly what I'd be paying for the whole treatment plan before I went in and fixed anything up, just in case they decided to do something different. As a result, here I am, on my way, about to get them on for another, how long was it again they said? 9 months extra?
Let me start off by talking about some of the differences between the treatment in Hong Kong and the treatment in the US. These might be things that are specific to these 2 practices that I've had experience with, but one of the first things that I noticed was that the equipment Someone's angry. The equipment in the US office was a lot older. The color scheme was brown and very earthy. It almost felt like it was something that came straight out of Seinfeld. Or Frasier. It looks like a place that would be Frasier's office. In Hong Kong, the orthodontist had an assistant who would press a button to refill some antiseptic liquid in a cup, and I had to use that to rinse my mouth. There was no choice. In the US, it was just some regular store-bought mouthwash. It was completely up to me whether I used it or not. Ah, look at me, enjoying the feeling of not having metal on my teeth. There was also a difference in their philosophies. The orthodontist here isn't trying to make anything perfect. He basically told me that everyone has different teeth and it's fine to want some improvement, especially in functionality, but they probably won't look perfect. Whereas the Hong Kong doctor pretty much was aiming for textbook perfection. Just an observation. Practically speaking, in Hong Kong, I was told to make an appointment once every 4 weeks because that's how long my teeth needed to get used to the new positions and the movements. Whereas here in the US, I'm told to come in every 3 weeks. Apparently it's because they use thinner wires. I'm not too sure. I'm not an orthodontist. But the reason why that feels very strange to me is because in Hong Kong they were super strict about it. I could not come in 3 weeks. It had to be 4 weeks. Whereas here it's definitely much more relaxed. Oh, and when I had my scans done in Hong Kong, the doctor told me that I needed to be really careful because of root resorption, and it had me quite worried. But then here, when I got my scans done, the doctor took a look at it and said, you scared me for nothing, don't worry, I've seen way worse. So it's more chill in the US, I guess. Hong Kong was much more conservative. And this is an interesting observation to me because it definitely reflects the cultural differences between the two places. The cost. In Hong Kong, the treatment costs somewhere just above 30,000 Hong Kong dollars. Here in the US, it costs just above 4,000 US dollars, and that includes a small discount for paying it up front. The prices were similar, but I would say that for the length of treatment and the plan that was initially proposed, the one in the US was a little bit more expensive. Insurance, the big question. Did my insurance that says that it covers adult braces cover my adult braces? In short, the answer is no. You know, this is something that I really wish I knew more about when I was still in Hong Kong. After they did my scans and my checkups, they submitted my case to the insurance company and I had to wait for about 3 weeks for the insurance company to get back to me. And then in the end they said, sorry, we're not going to cover this because it's a transfer case. Basically what they were saying was that if I had my orthodontist in Hong Kong take off my braces completely and then come to the US and do it as though I'm starting a new fresh treatment, then it would be covered. Annoying, right? What can you do? Ceramic versus metal. Now that I've had time with both types, I have some thoughts on them. When I was in Hong Kong, I initially opted to have ceramic at the top because it's less obvious. I'm an adult already, and you know, when I was younger, I would have multicolored braces, metal ones, all across my teeth. But that's not as cool anymore, I think. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to hide the fact that I was having braces, even though it's actually still quite obvious. And then I opted to have metal on the bottom. Now, ceramic braces do cost a bit more, but the main reason why I wanted metal on the bottom was because I'd heard that they are smaller, sturdier, and because I have an overbite, it would lessen the chance of me biting them off by accident when I'm eating or talking or biting something. But, funny story, my orthodontist in Hong Kong actually made a mistake. When he was putting the brackets on my teeth, he accidentally gave me ceramic on the top and the bottom. By the time I noticed, I already had full ceramic braces. In all honesty, I think it did slow my treatment because I kept breaking the bottom braces. Since my issue is a big overbite, it's just so easy to accidentally bite one off. My suspicions were correct. The ceramic braces are bigger. And I don't know why, but they don't stick as well as the metal ones on your teeth, maybe because they're bigger. If I could do that all over again, I would ask the orthodontist to help me swap the bottom braces back to metal ones. Now I have metal on the bottom and ceramic on the top, and I don't think my bottom ones have ever come off. Woohoo! How long do I have left? When I initially had the treatment plan proposed to me in Hong Kong, they said it would take about 9 months. Realistically, 12 months. And I started the treatment in October of 2021. Cannot believe it's been over a year. I stopped my treatment in Hong Kong in May of 2022, so that's 7 months after I started the treatment in Hong Kong. And then I started my treatment in the US in July of 2022, and they told me again it would probably take 9 to 12 months. It's now December 2022, so it's been 5 months since I started the treatment in the US. From the very beginning, it's been over a year. However, I did have 1.5 months where I was moving and searching for a new orthodontist, so that doesn't really count. To be completely honest, I'm kind of used to having braces on my teeth. That doesn't mean that I like having them there though. I am very much looking forward to the day when I don't have metal things on my teeth anymore. I'll probably need to whiten my teeth by that point, but that's a bridge I'll cross when I get to it. So that's it. That's my rundown of everything that has happened since I had my braces case transferred over to the US. The orthodontist here has been absolutely lovely and they're very flexible. Things aren't as structured as the one in Hong Kong, because I used to even get WhatsApp or text message reminders about my appointment, whereas here, if I don't put it in my calendar, there's no one to remind me. But the orthodontist is really good, so hopefully it will all be worth it. What about you? Did you get braces when you were a kid or as an adult? And how much did it cost? Most importantly, do you think it was worth it? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!